Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, we have a very, very special guest with us. He is a patriarch in the family office space. We have Mr. Jason Ma with us. For those of you who do not know Jason, he is the founder and CEO of 3EQ. Jason is an award-winning chief mentor of next-gen leaders, rainmaker, investor, speaker, and author of Young Leaders 3.0, an acclaimed book. With over 40 years of experience across AI, technology, education, finance, and media, and more than 2 million miles of global travel. If I thought I was well-traveled, I've been way overshadowed here. Jason is a trusted strategic advisor to ultra-high net worth families, single offices, and CEOs. He also serves as the chief business officer and an investor at AdXero. Is that how you...
one word with an X. Yeah.
How do you pronounce this?
AdXero.
AdXero.
With an X. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you swallow the X. Okay. So AdXero, a patented integrated consumer media and fintech AI software platform venture poised to transform a large legacy industry. He is a longstanding member of the B20, which is the G20's official global business forum, a repeat speaker at various family office, private wealth, investment, leadership, and next-gen summits, as well as a former delegate of the Forbes Global CEO Conference for 8 consecutive years. Jason brings global perspective and deep insight into the next generation's leadership, impact, and legacy. And for those of you who may recall, we had someone on the show a few weeks ago who is sharing some of the struggles of being a next gen and trying to figure out the transition. And today, Jason is coming on to answer those questions and give us some strategies on how to make that transition smoother.
Wow, I don't know how anyone could beat that introduction. Was such an honor and pleasure to be here with you, Addie. Thank you so much for inviting.
Of course. So your 4 S's in 3EQ approach is central to 3EQ's impact. Can you walk us through how you developed this model and share a memorable moment when it transformed a young leader?
Sure, I'll give you a couple of examples here. What you're referring to, my 4S in 3EQ, it stands for my family business 3EQ. For those who like to check it out, it's THREEEQ, one word. You have to spell it out. It stands for visionary, story, state, strategies, soft skills, along with execution ability. That's 4S for you. And 3EQ stands for pragmatic, which combines being results-oriented and practical, emotional, social, and leadership intelligence. Not just your trite EQ, but 3EQ. Let me spend 1 minute explaining why I developed this model, and it's been working extremely well. It's very, very empowering, uniquely empowering. So when I say story, I've learned, like all of us, right? We learn from hundreds or dozens of teachers and all that. You integrate it into your own system, your mindset, and becomes part of you. So it's become part of Jason Ma. And I'm very big on being chief mentor, rainmaker, a little bit of investing, as well as a speaker. So on the chief mentor side, visionary story stands for, having a strategic direction, a vision, a direction. Not many people are skilled in being visionary. So strategic roadmap, as well as your empowering belief system. And I even help my students, whether you're a teenager or a 60-year-old, to kind of get rid of some limiting beliefs that kind of shackles you and replace it with practical, empowering, realistic beliefs. And then it also includes character. Character is simply, my definition is the sum of all habits and choices. Think about that. Character, we're always character building. Now, for those that has a big ego, big pride, I would advise to put your ego on a shelf and really listen. Okay, and because I learn all the time, and even my favorite joke is I look like I just graduated high school. My own kids are 28 and 25. They're working Gen Z, young adults' daughters living in New York City, both working big tech. But the character part is that if our habits don't change, and we have great habits, keep them. But if there's some bad habits, we have to be honest and work on improving or replacing them. Otherwise, it's going to keep on the whole family, yourself, or other people is going to keep on experiencing the same bad habits, the manifestations, right, the effects. So that story part is very important. And just like a movie is about character, story, and production, think about that. If the quality of the interconnected characters and your story and the production value is not high, you're not going to make a blockbuster. A blockbuster, by definitions, may be 0.6 billion in box office, right? No matter how much it costs. So it's probably a blockbuster to you. Now, on the state part is really your spirit, your emotional and mental state of mind management. Think about this, a spectrum of states, your emotions, okay? The worst is suicide or being a mass serial killer. The next worst is probably consistent depression. The next worst is like consistent anxiety, worry. And then you got these middle states, and then you got these high performing happy states, and you got these peak states, right? I call it God state kind of. Now, a lot of young people, Gen Z, millennials, I find that because of what I've done chief mentoring, coaching, applied research, writing, and speaking for over 20,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell mentioned the 10,000 rules, right? 10,000 hour rule. I blew that up by over 2x. So you can imagine that I have pattern recognition, I have pattern data analysis, I have new pattern creation skills. And those are essential skills that you have to have, right? So how to get rid of the on the state part, the spirit is very important. We are all spiritual beings, right? In addition to being biological beings, and the emotion, mental part, and you hear about mental health is a big issue all the time, especially with young people. But when you think about in history in the past couple of thousand years, on average per capita, we're probably the least violent, the least in terms of safety, all of it. But you hear
it all the time. I cite that all the time.
But you hear it all the time, right? It's like mental health. What the hell's wrong with the world? So the problem is that it's the infiltration of people's minds and hearts. And then I challenge people. Is that okay? I'm going to challenge you. Okay, what's in your mindset? What are your beliefs? Okay, what are your assumptions? What are your premise? Where did they come from? What's a pattern of those inputs into your mind and soul? Right? You probe into the edge of the supply chain all the way to the demand side. It's kind of like those shape your mind and all that, right? But let's move on. So that's state. And then on the strategies part, if you're a 62-year-old, in fact, one of my latest students, she's a 62-year-old entrepreneur. She said, Jason, help me to become more competitive, become more successful as a businesswoman. And she's got grown-up kids, right? And I really like that. She's humble and just make me more competitive and all. Absolutely, because we all care once we're working about next level business, career, personal, maybe family success, right? High school kid typically parents, right? These tiger parents especially, they care about college admissions, right? That's a separate thing, life stages. And then so the strategies for your work, for your lifelong learning, for your education, for your activities. Even your sleep, diet, your fitness and skincare, for God's sakes, right? I joke with stubborn middle-aged men. You can imagine I have a lot of alpha male, sigma male CEO friends, right? If in family office, ultra network, etc. And with men, sometimes I'm a bit more blunt with them. With women, I'm very polite, right? It's like, dude, you're too damn stubborn. Okay, you have to take care of your skin. It's not because I'm Asian American, I look young, because I have a system. I have good habits, okay? You have to apply good skincare and lotion and all that, after shower, blah, 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 right? So those are strategies. And then when it comes to soft skills, like critical thinking, strategic problem solving, decision making, curiosity, lifelong learning, creativity, communications, one-on-one Socratic conversation. I'm having a conversation with you right now, correct? Mm-hmm. Public speaking, first person writing, like essays and posts and so on that. I don't have to teach you expository because I learned from school. And then your self-talk, your listening skills, right? Those are communication skills. And then finally, collaboration, social, people skills. I call it the 4 C's, right? And in fact, my alma mater, they kind of adopt that as well. And so the skills are very important, soft skills. And that coupled with your hard skills, especially with AI, those that are capable but super lazy, not on a daily basis, continuously upskilling and reskilling, they're going to get left behind. Now, for those that are helpless, we have to help them with philanthropy. Make sense? So that's 4S. And 3EQ, pragmatic, emotional, social, leadership, intelligence. Emotions, the instant effect of your beliefs, your self-talk, your physiology, your biochem. And then I left out the social part because it's really empathy, compassion, empathy in action with other people. Okay. And then leadership is holistic. You actually, it's more impactful. You end up making more money. I know it's grammatically incorrect. Who cares? Right. But 3EQ. So does that answer your question? 4S and 3EQ. So, and I'll be happy to tell you more about examples of students if you like me to go there.
Yeah, I think let's dive into a few of these other questions, and I'm sure that those examples will come through. So you've leveraged a 40-year seasoned career in tech, education, and other sectors into mentoring ultra-high net worth families, next gens, mature leaders, and co-building your AI tech venture, AdXero. How have these sectors converged to shape your strategic vision today?
The world is changing so fast. We live in a very turbulent world now, especially with the advent of Gen AI. And then now people are kind of skipping artificial general intelligence and kind of talking about artificial super intelligence, where it's going to probably exceed the smallest human beings. It's sort of exciting, but also scary, right, to a lot of people. So I've been in tech for 41 years, ever since I graduated Berkeley Engineering. And I graduated Berkeley Engineering with a degree in industrial engineering and operations research. Those that have the degree, you know what I mean, right? You know, we optimize this, optimize that, drive people nuts, by the way. Drive my family nuts. It's like, I look at certain things, it's like, great, fantastic, but that could be improved. That could be improved. I could improve that innovation, that product, that process. That could cut out a lot of hours, and then boom, you get more things done with less. I think like that.
Yeah,
so I'm super, I guess, because of that, I'm very logical, very methodical, very systematic, very pragmatic, very strategic at the same time. But I tell you, Addie, you know, I've never been so creative in my life. I'm a tail end boomer now. It's kind of like a hockey stick in technology, right? Like my lifespan over the past decades, I've never been so creative in my life. I think part of that is my spirit, my faith, right? Really.
And your daughters?
My daughters are 20 and 25. They're both in big tech. Separate story. I could tell you their stories as well, if that's going to be helpful. Next gens. Do you think they listen to me all the time? No, right? Are you kidding me? This is biology. Parents, it's not your fault, okay? Your teenage kids and some young adults, they don't fully listen to you. It's not your fault. It's just biology at work.
Oh, no, yeah, I have some mentors who they're like 10, 15 years older than me, and their children are 10 to 15 years younger than me. So, and they'll say, I'm mentoring you, and I'm hoping that you can get through to my kids. So,
exactly.
And my father's mentoring them. So it's like a trickle down because they know I'll listen to my mentor. So
oh my God. That is so true. That is called trusted third party advisory. Okay.
Yeah.
So as a chief mentor, I'm a trusted third party chief mentor. For example, one of my students, I coached her for 3 years, and then the dad became a Fortune 300 public tech company. Let's just say that without his company, the world does not exist, because his company is very, very core in the chip space, in the semiconductor space, right? So I mentored a kid for 3 years. I'm very privileged. We all become very good friends, right? And he wrote, when he saw me speak at the Harvard Business School Association event, and Harvard and then HBS Association were very kind. They're so excited. They invited Harvard, invited Wharton, invited Stanford Graduate School of Business, invited Berkeley Haas, all the alumni clubs in the Bay Area, NorCal. They put together an event featuring only myself as a speaker. I was very honored. So spent an hour and a half with them, lecture for an hour, half an hour Q&A. And then after that, he wrote me a kind of a long email, say, Jason, you know, no matter how successful we parents we think we are, you know, we're not the best guides to fully mentor, coach our kids. One recognition is that, he tells me, right, is like, my kids does not tell us everything. She's kind of introverted, blah, blah, blah. And then no matter how smart, even he went to Harvard, super smart, it's kind of like, okay, your kid's still not going to fully listen to you. And sometimes you're so close, a jar cannot read its own label. You guys are making mistakes that you don't even know about, right? So, and it's very wide. That's why you exist. We exist, right? You know, that's why the wealth managers, the private banks exist. That's why the multifamily offices exist. They kind of trusted third party advisors or whatever. So that is very very important.
Yeah.
Did I
Absolutely.
fully answer your question? I forgot what your question is. So. A great speaker could always loop back and kind of go back to where we left off, even though we went
No,
off topic.
yeah, I know. But in your defense, the questions, because of your everything you've accomplished, the questions that we put here are much more in depth. They're like three to 4 line questions. Most people, we give them a 1 sentence question. So
Whatever.
it's fair if you don't loop back and do have a full story.
That's
So
fine.
the question was how you're integrating all of your experiences into one, and you did
Oh,
answer.
yes. Integrating, well, technology is, I'll give you a macro, okay? So AI and technology is hyper critical for as a critical success factors for the US, for China, okay? So I'll give you a indirect analogy. In the fourth plenum, it's kind of like board meetings of a CCP, okay? Xi Jinping, the chairman, and he places technology, AI right on top. Because the US, it's all about US and China, okay? Those are the elephants in the room in the world. So the hyper competition that we have, so technology is right on the top, and that's why there's a race right now on technology AI between US and China, private public sector and PPP, private public sectors. So that's very integrated. My DNA is always technology. I've been in technology for over 40 years, right? And the current tech company that we're building, co-building with a couple of founders, we might become $100 billion market valuation company, disrupting in a very nice way a massive existing industry. Happy to talk about that. So technology is in my bones, right? My first job after Berkeley Engineering, in fact, I was a data scientist. I was a network operations systems analyst for TimeNet. TimeNet, Telenet were two of the public data network services company before the commercial internet popped up. So a lot of internet pioneers came from TimeNet and Telenet. And we were the management sciences department. We were the network analysis and design department. We were the internal technology management consultants to the company. Inside, we advised the decision makers. I was like doing traffic engineering and writing programs to improve productivity, write engineering guidelines, local access kind of backbone to the network engineers for them to implement our guidelines to optimize the network design and the implementation and resource deployment, right? We were already talking about AI, and that was 40 something years ago, okay? So it's nothing new. When you hear about this agentic agent thing, one thing about Silicon Valley, I've been here for 51 years, okay? We're pretty good and pretty notorious for inventing new terminology to, in a way, it's all kind of selfish, right? It's to kind of sucker people into the herd so that you'll buy and invest and all that in us. Now the word is like agentic AI. You hear it all the time.
Oh, I
hate
know.
it. Agentic this, just say agent for God's sakes. Okay, it's like automated part. It's like, there's nothing new. It's just kind of morphing into the next version.
I built a software company from scratch. The software is used in 59 countries by thousands of businesses. And I had someone who doesn't know how to write a single line of HTML, right?
Right.
Could not write anything.
Right.
Going on and on about how she knows more about tech than me because she went to one lecture on agentic AI.
Oh my God. That's called lack of humility. Not good. Okay. Bad habit. If she's coachable, maybe I'll talk to her. And so going back to integrating tech is so hyper important and over the past 18 years, in 2005, I recognized that the global education industry was already a couple of trillion. But when I look at the numbers, the multiple of these public companies and the private companies is still much less than the other tech sectors, the ventures, correct? That means that there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of uplifting the entire education industry on the supply side, demand side, right? K-12, higher education, vocational, kind of lifelong learning. And on supply side, including equipment, software, services, right? Teachers, blah, blah, blah. And then demand side, kind of kids, parents, and adults. There's a lot of room. And I founded a company, I restarted that, and that was an education technology SaaS company. And I'm a SaaS pioneer, right? Software as a service, because iPass, when I was a managing director for Asia Pacific, Netscape and all that, we were two of the internet pioneers in the 90s. So a lot of the veterans and we know each other in Silicon Valley. And then we merged that with a US company, Chain of Learning Centers, and we were very big on kind of elite college consulting, the planning, application, admission process. We help so many kids get into all the top schools. I help over 100 kids get into my alma mater, UC Berkeley, right? Not to mention the 8 Ivies. We have Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Penn, Dartmouth, Brown, Cornell. You see how easy for me to say? It's embedded in my soul, right? So Stanford, MIT, Caltech, Chicago, all the top 100 schools, research universities, liberal arts colleges, I know it cold, right? Once you know how the admission office thinks,
These things,
and
yeah.
that predict how it works, correct? We hack the system. We help over 1,000 families, mostly affluent families, get into the top schools, right? A lot of tiger moms and dads and all that, a lot of high achievers. And it's so much fun. It is so much fun, right? So what's different about me is that I'm also very big on mindset, soft skills, life coaching, career coaching. And then even the American staff in my company, they come to me as an internal mentor for them because they want to kind of, maybe my colleagues were skilled in other things, not so skilled. And I do that. And then I found that I left them, after 6 years because we had to work full time during the weekend. Not so fun, except for a couple of hours Saturday night. And I left them. I founded my family business, 3EQ, over a decade ago. I want to reclaim my time. I want to focus more on the high end. I want to be able to do other things, have more freedom to do what I want, right? So fast forward to today. Today, I'm much more selective, helping select ultra network families with high school kids, college kids, millennials in the workforce or the family business, or typically the young people like to work for other people. Okay, some of them might want to go back to the family business. Depends on every person.
Like I did, where I worked with Apple and Porsche and Target and Whole Foods and Disney,
right.
And then built a software company, built a media company, and now I'm back with the family.
You are a wonderful case.
I think it's important to take time off to work for others, see how other companies are doing it before you come back.
Exactly. You don't want to start working for the family business, especially just go into being helping with investment. That's kind of not very wise because you really.
No, I told my daughter she's after
don't
college,
do that.
She's going to a big consulting firm first.
Right. Pick up connections, pick up know-how, pick up maturity, pick up how brutal the world is. Okay.
Yeah.
And really have that thick skinness. Okay. A lot of young people don't have the thick skinness. That's something that I'm very big on guiding young people and old people as well.
I think that's huge. It's huge. I have some friends who never left the family business, and like a journalist tried to run a smear campaign against one of my friends last week, and she's never left the family business. I confronted her and I shut it down immediately.
Yeah.
And she was like, "How did you know how to do that?" It's like, because I had to spend time in the real world and I had to learn how to do that. And I didn't have one of my parents sweeping in to save me. Learning how to save yourself is it's so crucial in order to be able to come back and lead your family's operations. You need to learn how to stand up for yourself.
Right. I'm so big with every single one of my students, whether you're a 15-year-old high school sophomore or a 50-year-old, senior research scientist from Google. That's one of my new students as well. And, I'm very big on shaping part of a soft skills that are not there yet. Okay. In addition to the mindset and the direction, right? And it's all for different purposes. I guide them to clarify the direction, the purpose, and be very outcome focused, be very pragmatic and execution oriented. It's all very holistic here. But back to wrapping the question, integrating technology, integrating the human capital. My friend, Dan, who's one of the 3 co-founders for Carlyle, and he's a multi-billionaire, and he knows my younger daughter pretty well because he lectured in my younger daughter. My younger daughter, Lydia, she graduated Wharton 3 years ago, but she's actually an engineer, graduate summa cum laude, active leader. She's like a boss at Wharton. And then she was a co-president of the FinTech Club, and Dan guest lectured there, and he had a great time. And, and I learned from Dan that human capital is more important than financial capital. Think about that.
Well, yeah, because the humans create the financial.
There you go. Especially right now, you have to augment it with AI, right? So, but probably we should move on. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. So, as one of a select few of Americans appointed as a recurring B20, G20 member for 11 years, what's been a breakthrough policy outcome you influenced, perhaps around workforce, education, technology, And how do you translate that insight into coaching private clients now?
Well, great question. First of all, my kudos to every single team, every single G20 host country, presiding country is different, right? So it's all teamwork. And now I'm one of a few Americans, one of a very few Americans who got appointed for the past 11 years to be B20 member. There's not that many. And I've been sitting on the future of work, employment, human capital, skills, education task force. Each country names it differently. This year it's hosted by South Africa, and they renamed it to employment and education. And I've been very big, and I share my Forbes articles, and I share my book and part of my skills. I was very big on the importance of upskilling and reskilling. We were already baking those vocabulary a decade ago. Now it's very common in the world, okay? And the soft skills part, and then helping the disadvantaged youth, right? Bring more visibility to them, because indirectly our policy recommendations, and then my task force, out of on average about 7 task forces, plus or minus, depends on the country, always has the highest rate for implementation in terms of our policy recommendations by the G20 countries, right? Because business helps drive the world. We represent the businesses, right? Including, kind of for-profit and also non-profit. In fact, education is still part of the private sector, correct? So without our sitting by the side monitoring and kind of pushing, you don't want governments to kind of go off on their own. That's it, without business input. It's very important, right? So our partners include the World Economic Forum, Davos, include all these powerful, organizations out there. They are our partners, but we are the G20s thing. So in summary, very big on part of a soft skill set. And I've been very concerned I've been preaching this all the time, right? It's like there's such a gap between what employers are looking for, and even a lot of these elite top schools and colleges are churning. Because I have sent so many kids to top schools, right? I helped them get admitted. Some of them ended up going to other schools or going to the schools they got admitted to, like including the Ivies and the MIT, Berkeley, so many. And not my students, but so many students out there. A lot of them come out, they started working for some bosses or boss's boss that went to schools lesser of a less name than their Harvard, okay? And then you wonder what happened there, right? Because those guys, they performed, they built great connection, their conduct was great. And I noticed that a lot of these kids out there, the problem is that a lot of the faculty, they are way too, like for me, I grew up in San Francisco, so I love everyone, right? I'm socially super liberal, right? I got friends across the entire, I kid you not, I got friends, good friends, right? Across like far left to far right. I encourage everyone to make friends with everyone, socialize with everyone. You don't have to spend too much time if they don't align with you, but work with everyone. Be very open.
I think it's super weird when somebody wants you to have all of the same beliefs as them. And then I'm like,
exactly.
That's a sign of a mental illness.
Right. The diversity, but at the same time, that said, what I noticed is that like Harvard's getting their butt kicked, right? You could argue all day long about Harvard versus Trump and all that. You got your viewpoints. I respect that. But what I noticed is that a lot of these kids from Ivy League schools, they come out, then they're not very thick-skinned as I thought. And they're not as resilient as I thought. And a lot of them get kind of arrogant. A lot of them just want to be strategists.
It's the marketing to attract them to those schools, because it's even the same with my school, with IE Business School. It's not really known that well in the US. It's usually just in the top 20 in the world.
Right.
We have a lot of ultra high net worth individuals. We have royals and that go to that school, and they leave so arrogant. I remember I was surprised when I graduated. Alumni had this like unspoken rule that they would not touch someone until they had been in the real world for 3 years.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. It's actually very common. And I know so many people in the 30s, 40s, 50s, okay, from Ivy League schools. Honestly speaking, I hate to say it, actually not very impressive what they do in their career. Is like what happened there. Okay. So my point here is not, now, first of all, I mentioned to you, Addie, is that, rumors, it's one of Satan's tactics. Don't go there. Okay. So we're not doing that. But I'm just saying that be careful. Got to be very pragmatic, especially in technology. Okay. when I was back in 2003, I met with an independent board director from Google. In fact, he said, Jason, we're looking for a new VP for Asia Pacific. Would you be interested? I actually threw my name in there. Okay. And then they ended up hiring an Indian American gal who was a better person than me. And then they said that we need help in China, etc. I was very honored to be considered. And then at that time, I met with some friends at high places at Google. They hired only from 15 schools. They were very arrogant back then. Okay. But since then, they hire from all schools. They woke up, you see. Then they hire all the engineers from all schools. Depends on, you don't even graduate college, right? So it's really practical skills. So going back to the B20, my concern is that there's such a skills gap, even with elite schools. What employers want is that you perform, you do your job, your conduct is good enough, you're smart enough to build connections. Okay, you perform. That's the most important thing. If you don't perform, your ass, you get fired just as well. You could be Stanford kid, your ass, you get fired. Now Stanford kids on average are pretty good. Okay. And most Harvard kids are pretty good as well. But I do see some kids out there in the 20s, too much, too brainwashed, too gaslighted. Don't go there, okay? That's one reason I exist, is to make sure that I'm optimizing and maximizing your potential so that you can be most productive in a very good way, in a empowering, powerful way, in a good way, impactful. You're gonna end up making a lot more money as well. And then your parents would have better legacy, right? Because we all care about social currency in a good way, hopefully. It's about peace of mind. It's about joy. It's about relationships at the end of the day, right? Health, wealth, happiness. Those are all interconnected. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we'll probably see a shift in the marketing tactics that are used to attract talent to the top schools.
Right.
At some point, hopefully soon, because the marketing messaging that they use right now is if you go to our school, you're a god. And then they churn out snowflakes who don't know how to perform.
Here's the thing, right? And even, I know the Ivy League elite college admission systems extremely well. Honestly speaking, I don't like it. Even though I was guilty in getting kids admitted, it's a game they play because that flows down to high schools. High schools, you have to do that and that and that and that in order to maximize the probability for getting in. Lots of wealthy parents, okay, parents, listen to me. The two common mistakes for wealthy families are, number one, okay, make sure it's very, very important, pride, and starting too late. I have coached kids to go to the best high schools, okay? For example, Atherton, the medium home price is like 10 million or something like that. It's the most expensive zip code in the nation. I coach kids that go to the best private high schools there. They still come to me. What I ask the students and the parents to do is that before, when your counselors, even in your best private high school, tells you to do that, always bounce it off me before making a decision. Why? Because I catch them giving bad advice all the time. They are very nice people. In Silicon Valley, if you make $180,000, we would say that welcome to the middle class, okay? So with inflation, you make 200K, welcome to the middle class. That's how expensive it is. So they're very nice people. They're very nice kind of middle class people, but they lack the real world sophistication on how the world really works. Same thing for like in New York City, you got a couple of crazy expensive cost consultancies out there. You know who they are, right? They're former deans, assistant deans, and former admission officers. It's kind of like a two-edged sword, right? It's like they used to work for Princeton, used to work for Harvard, Yale, kind of all that. And suddenly they become independent, make a lot more money as an education college consultant. And then they preach about their work. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Now, the way they derive their knowledge is reading essays and rec letters. They have no real world experience. And then a lot of those essays, I read them as like, a lot of them are overly woke, but that's kind of what they want. It's like, what the hell is going on? That's not good. That's going to negatively infiltrate your minds. And that's not how the world works, right? The world's a bit more, you got to be a bit more competitive. You got to be a bit more outcome focused. Don't get distracted too much, you see. Don't get deceived. But that's a small part of how I even guide my students. And I have so much fun. We have so much fun together. It's just a blast, right? It's like after we meet on a Zoom meeting, the students will say, hey, Jason, Mr. Ma, let's book our next meeting, right? Because they're always excited to actually like to hear my pep talks, right? In addition to kind of a lot of conversation and all that. Anyway, back to you.
So AdXero's visionary business model and patented AI technology for incentivized media distribution is intriguing and it's transformative. What spurred your investment and CBO role there, and what legacy impact do you hope to achieve?
Yeah, okay. I became very deep in my faith in the past couple of years. It's sort of like, you guys know the Bible, the New Testament, right? Paul was used to be a mass serial killer of Jews, and then Jesus whacked him, and then he converted, learned a lot, from the disciples and other people. His tenure in Christianity is not very, it's not very long, but he's the guy who wrote the majority of the New Testament. I feel kind of like him. I feel kind of like Simon as well. I feel kind of like a David as well. Went through hardships and people don't believe in you, and then but they are extremely influential, impactful, right? And it's about commandment 2. Commandment 2 is loving, serving others like yourself, okay? And which is an integral part of commandment 1. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. So with my tech company, I have the same ethos, is that what are we doing to loving and serving the consumers? So the consumers is, okay, we are raising their consumer spending power, purchasing power, because 58% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. The vast majority of Americans struggle financially. I tell you, Addie, one thing that frustrates me, my friends are mostly, the top 1%. Of course, I got my philanthropy bucket, right? That helps the masses. And a lot of them, and I tell them, I'm not sensing you understand, you're not empathizing effectively how the bottom 99% think and what's in the
I
heart.
keep telling my parents, and when you're saying go work out in the family office and come back,
I challenge
exactly
them.
what I was thinking of.
Exactly. I challenge them. I say the way you talk, the way you look and feel and sense is that there's a disconnect there. Okay. So can I connect you? Okay. You're the top 0.1%, top 1%. The bottom 99% don't think like you. Okay. So that people don't mind getting help financially in a mentally healthy way. Got it? Check. Now for the advertising brands out there, now the programmatic digital advertising space has been around for 2-3 decades, right? We don't touch Facebook, we don't touch Google. They're doing a great job. They make a couple of $100 billion per year. It's a $700-800 billion industry worldwide. The US got over 40%. But what we're doing is that we're doing it totally differently, where we're giving the advertisers a massive raise in their return on ad spend. We're giving them an opt-in incentivized audience. These are things that they don't experience. We're giving them attribution on steroids. We take away, bots, ad fraud, click fraud. We take away blocked out bad actors plus other benefits. And we take them from like upper funnel impression. You see that all the time, right? Even Google did a study. They said 56% of all these programmatic ads out there don't get seen by people. In other words, $350-something billion per year get wasted on ad spend. We fix that by giving them down funnel conversion ready ads at close to 100% click-through rate, not your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% click-through rate, plus other benefits that we do, right? So advertisers will love that. And we have a B2C and a B2B2C model. The middle B are the distribution partners. But in summary, the business model is structured in a way along with a patented technology. It took us years to get those patents. So in summary, we're solving multiple problems at the same time, loving and serving the masses in a very nice way, and the advertisers and the distribution partners. And don't be surprised that we could, reach some pretty massive ARR, by next year. But probably enough on that, huh? Unless you want to know more.
I don't know if you knew the book that I wrote. It's called Tools of Marketing Titans.
No.
Okay, so it hit #2 bestseller in March, 20 days after we published it.
Okay, take a look.
Yeah, there's a section on top of funnel marketing. I feel like we should absolutely put a story from someone in your team in there on how they can be using AdXero to optimize and to get better ROI.
One advice that I tell by the way, my investors, I'm an investor as well. We all invest, and my 2 founders, God willing, the guys are going to be multi-billionaires. Okay, it's going to be crazy. And along the way, if God allows us to create immense wealth, I'm gonna get his guidance in what to do with the immense wealth. But back to why we do what we do. That's the most important thing. Start with why. It all comes from good heart. And when it comes to a lot of AI ventures out there, Addie, most of the AI ventures going to get wiped out. Okay, because one thing
they're already wiped out. They're already wiped out.
They still haven't learned. It's a herd mentality. That follow the herd. In fact,
I had my software company. All these people were like, when I built my software company, it teaches junior marketers how to upskill quickly. When I built it, ChatGPT had just come out with something where you could change your software to be built on top of ChatGPT. And all of the people who had launched their software companies at the same time as mine that were like similar space, they're like, Adi, you have to build it on top of ChatGPT. You're going to be left behind. It was like, no, Business 101. I will be training their language model to replace my company.
Right.
Well, 2 years later, ChatGPT replaced all their companies. My company's still alive. Their companies are dead.
Right.
Like you can't build AI and think it's going to work. You have to have strategy.
Couple of points here for investors, right? So when it comes to like I know so many billionaire investors, okay, VCs and angels or family office, right? The way that they make the billions, it's very different. You invite in public equities and kind of hedge funds and all that. Then if you're doing most of the VC funds out there, 90%, 95%, they underperform. And it's only like if you're lucky, you get a couple of X in 7. You're locked up 7-10 years. No freedom, no relationship, no impact, right? So that's why less and less, almost all the single family office principals that I talk to, none of them are happy investing as an LP into funds, except for those workers that work for family offices. Then the metrics for the job, because it's not their money, then it's a little bit less risky for them. Then they cover their ass all the time, right? And there's very few CIOs, chief investment officers I met that are impressive, honestly speaking. And I know so many people, okay? So back to, in fact, go to my LinkedIn, one of my feature posts about LinkedIn on my website as well, 3EQ. I talked about single family offices and ultra net worth individuals, the rise of smart, direct AI tech investing. You should read that. And I discuss, even I use Rudolph Bota, who's one of the managing partners of Sequoia Capital. Sequoia Capital, the King Kong, right? They got 7 billionaire investors. The way that on average they invest, here's how they invest. Okay, they bet on the people. It's a big market that's growing. They bet on some moat, that's some disruptive technology or innovation that hopefully is a bit protected, or you could out-execute the others with great issue patents. Wonderful. Don't believe VCs when they tell you patents don't matter so much, because they never sign NDAs. They will steal your shit like you wouldn't believe. They don't invest in you. Okay, there's one of the tricks that they play that I don't like. And then they bet on the people. And then there's a limited due diligence you can do because they're disrupting something big. Whenever you're disrupting something big, you're gonna make a lot of enemies from the legacy industries. Like for us, we have millions of people in the legacy industry. That's one reason I keep my mouth shut, okay? You don't see me posting about my tech company on LinkedIn at all, except for one hint, where I got invited by Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner. He invited his entire C-suite team to meet us. And not a lot of tech companies get the privilege, right? But we keep it very private as well. We don't say much at all. And but we could actually, I tell you, we could reach about a couple $100 million ARR by next year. We could reach over $1 billion ARR like much shorter, right? But we invite only single family offices and ultra net worth and strategics. No VC funds allowed. No VC funds allowed, because I don't like a whole bunch of shackled, they put you under the bus and all that. So, but that's my opinion here. So back to the importance of my two passions besides my family and friends, my tech company AdXero, my family business, where being the chief mentor makes me to be a better businessman, better investor, better colleague, better friend, better speaker, better philanthropist. It's all interconnected, and I'm having a blast, so.
Okay, so you've kind of answered this already. You blend faith, elite admissions, career success, family legacy work with philanthropy at St. Jude and other places. How do you help families integrate wealth, values, and well-being across generations?
I think the way that I help people, whether I'm helping your family one-on-one or your next gen one-on-one, and I even coach single family office CEO before, right? Because she wants to become more successful, happier. It's very interesting. People like to become happier. And it's like short, medium, long-term goals. I go through my 4S and 3EQ, and I help them prepare real well and achieve the greatest results possible within the most important goals in their life stage. Because each person, each family is different. Even identical twins are very, very different.
Yeah.
And the holistic part, the holistic long-term part is that what can I do to, in addition, to help you prepare real well, help you achieve the greatest results possible, whether it's elite college admissions or next level leadership effectiveness in ways that's kind of Jason Ma powered, right? Then it's kind of like, then along with that, you get higher peace of mind. People want peace of mind. You get higher joy, not just superficial happiness, okay? Higher long-term sustainable joy. You get better relationships within your family, with other people. Who doesn't want that? And sometimes on stage, and I get invited repeatedly by OPPO, by a whole bunch of organizers, right? And sometimes on stage, I can sense that the audience kind of want to hear. I have to remind them. It's like, imagine that you're a billionaire or centimillionaire, and you're going to be 6 foot under. You know that. You're in a hospital bed. Okay, imagine 2 scenarios. Would you like people who truly love you, surrounding you in your hospital bed, around your hospital bed? Or do you like your relatives who only want your money? The answer is clear, isn't it? Think about that. So reverse engineer that to what you do, not just go, 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 not to pound your chest and beat your competition as a tycoon, right? You want to win against a tycoon. That's nothing wrong with competition, okay? In fact, I know people that are deep in faith are hyper competitive in business. They're billionaires, but their heart is in a better place, right? And you see it all the time. There's a lot of wealthy families out there that don't tell you that they're struggling like hell within a family. You know?
I think because of who I am and what I was born into, I see behind the curtain a lot more often than most realize. I will say that there was a very high percentage of suicides and drug overdose among
oh my God. I could tell you a bunch of stories there.
Yeah, and that was normal. 2 more of my childhood friends just committed suicide in November. So it's you do have, there are a lot of people.
Those are more extreme cases.
Yeah, people look at the family office space and they're like, "You are so lucky." And I'm like, "When is the last time someone tried to poison you so they could kidnap you for ransom?" And they're like, "That doesn't happen." I'm like, "Mine was February." So as much as we say we're so lucky, like, you don't get poisoned on a regular basis. You don't have to worry about people trying to kidnap you or abduct you when you go out in public with your friends. Like, so I think there's a cost for everyone. And I have one of my friends who's not FO was like, I had a lunatic fan screaming outside of the bathroom a few weeks ago after I had spoken at an event. And he was like, "It's unfortunate that you have to deal with that." And it was like, it's the cost of being able to have a serious impact on the economic stage. And if that's the cost of being able to impact positively micro and macroeconomics, like, it's a very low cost to pay. But I would say to those who think that we have it easy and that everything is just handed to us, it could not be further from the truth.
Absolutely. The higher up you get, the more sophisticated problems you get. The key there is that you have to upskill, reskill, support system, blah, 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 so that the rate of problem solving would exceed the weighted average rate of problem accumulation. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's part of wisdom. Part of wisdom. Correct? I hear you. I got a bunch of stories to tell you. We may not have time for that when it comes to suicides and all that. Some of them are preventable. One kid, a billionaire kid in a major city in the US, and he wanted to be my student, didn't pull the trigger, and later on committed suicide. If he would become my student, he's coachable. That would never happen. I would reverse course with him, right? And empower him to move on the stage. For example, Robin Williams, a famous actor, Robin Williams, he committed suicide. He may have some, physical issues and all that, but he committed suicide. Inside story, by the way, is that he lost his significance. He lost significance in terms of connection with family, with fans, and all that. To him, in his perception, without effective coaching, mentoring, is that he feels less painful to his life than to live on. If he was coachable, if I was his mentor and coach, that would never happen. Number one. Number two, I would reverse course with him, and he would probably reach next level of success and happiness. So a lot of things. That's why start earlier. Don't come in late. I got so many non-client families of mine. They come in, they think they're hot shit, and then when I look at what they do, talk to them, it's like, man, you want to achieve these goals, but they think they're here, but the reality is here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the gaps here, you cannot do that in 3 months. Things don't work like that. Okay. I'm not going to cheat for you. You heard about Operation Varsity Blue, Rick Singer, the cook, right? Even some wealthy parents got jailed, right? So I said, don't do that, right? If I'm going to meet Rick Singer, I'll take him to the back alley and I'm going to beat the crap out of him, because that's not good. That's evil. That's evil, right? So you have to make sure, just like my Fortune 300 public tech CEO, super smart, super successful, multi-cent millionaire, but humble enough to realize that they're not the best guys for the kids, you see? And then start early. And then 3 years, man, the kid got into top Ivy schools and ended up going to USC and all that. It's a best fit. Every kid's different. And they're happy family, you see? So that is more important. The outcome is that, you are being very impactful, productive, and you're also joyful. Not mired with all these hideous Satan-driven problems, I would say. I'm a little bit blunt here, but
yeah, no, I think sometimes it's necessary to be blunt. I had someone I had to ask calmly 15 different times, listen, people don't speak to me about negative things. And every time she'd reach out to me, she's like, you're doing all these strategic partnerships with all these other people, but you're not doing any with me. And it was like, every time you contact me, you don't give me a business proposition, you give me gossip. If you want to do a business arrangement with me, a business deal with me, if you want to do a joint venture, you have to approach me with that, not with gossip. And I eventually just had to block her on everything because she just didn't get it. And it was like, look, I would love to
not the right fit.
Level.
Not the right fit.
Yeah. It's like, I would love to have you at this level. We're collaborating. We're changing the world here. Right. But you have to stop the gossip in order to get to this level.
I'm at a point where maybe I have more flexibility, more freedom, right? And I pick and choose people I like to work with. So we're selective, right? Even my coaching and selective and partners, pick and choose. Here's my criteria, and then here's a joke for you. I like to joke and say a fact at the same time. That's why poo. Like Jesus had only 3 mentees. Did he have 30 mentees? No. Okay, it's John, James, and Peter. That's it. Peter had, Jesus had only 12 disciples, not 12,000 disciples. So it's a private network. Okay?
Yeah.
And then here's another joke for you, right? Jesus cannot be everywhere physically. That's why he installed the Holy Spirit, right? To Pentecost. There's like software download. It's a joke, right? People love that. It's great to tell the engineers that are non-believers. They get it right away, right? It's like, imagine your OS, right? And then your skill set, the operating system's a mindset, right? By the way, I cover that in my book, Young Leaders 3.0, in the epilogue, which is very beefy, a lot of action, a lot of insightful actionable stuff. I use that as an analogy so that the techies could understand it, the young people could understand that, right? The Gen Z get it right away. So
that's very funny. Yeah, I would challenge anyone listening to this episode that even if you're young and you're trying to build your name, you should still be selective with who you work with, because I've had people are either walls or doors. So someone is either going to see the potential in you and they're going to rip you up to the next level really fast.
Right.
Or they're going to be a wall where they see your potential and they don't want to help you because they think they have the scarcity mindset where they think only one person can be successful. As soon as you recognize someone with a scarcity mindset, respectfully take a distance from them, because there are 15 other people that you could spend 40 hours trying to impress this person that does not want you to succeed, or you could spend 10 minutes with someone who wants you to succeed because they see how you're going to help the world get to a better spot. Like, you'll get so much further along with that one person who sees your potential than you will with that one who wants to destroy your potential. So you really have to be selective with who you surround yourself with. There's one of my best friends. People like to call her a train wreck. And then they say, you're the whisperer. Why is it that when you're around her, she's achieving all of these things, but as soon as you leave town, she's doing nothing but shopping and drinking? It's like, because I see the winner in her, and I only talk to the winner in her. And the rest of you keep wanting to hold her back and tell her that she can't do the things that I know she can do.
Right.
That's
Right.
it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Scarcity mindset. In fact, I remind my own family, of course, my daughters and my wife, they roll their eyes all the time because I heard it from the children times. And it's like, be careful about any scarcity mindset. Replace it with abundance mindset, with generosity mindset. Okay, number one. Number two is to make sure, I mean, they are pretty good already with growth mindset and visionary growth mindset. That's how successful investors invest, by the way. Unless you invest in try to make, another, 1.5x, 2x on public companies or whatever, do good for you. And you do a lot of due diligence, a lot of numbers analyzed. But if you invest in early stage companies and all that, there's not much you do. You place a bet, okay? So then you have to be installed with what I call visionary growth mindset. You help others grow your contributing mindset. You get it. You take calculated risk. That's how things are. And that's so important. Is that some people shop at my posts, right? Go to one of the feature posts on my LinkedIn, and I invite single family office and ultra net worth individuals, the rise of smart tech investing, and read that. It's very provocative, very thought provoking, and I clearly said, it shocks me. It is so common and prevalent to see fixed mindsets everywhere versus growth mindsets.
Yeah.
And the growth mindset TED Talk is one of the top 10 most popular. Some people are not even aware of that. Yeah, you have to get your ass, cover your basics first, then talk to me later. Okay. So please, it's kind of like I coach parents, right, and families. When your high school junior, high school sophomore, you do college visits. You go to this college admission officers presentations and campus tour, right? But okay, raise your hands, ask questions, but don't be a fool when you raise your hand after the presentation by the admission officer to ask some questions that you should have do research on before you come. Okay, you
Yeah.
ask questions on something much deeper you cannot find out from the social media, from the website, something that reflects that you have critical thinking, you really care, you go deep, not some superficial ignorant, because you'll be the first to get rejected. And I look around, I'm like the biggest kid, right? I'm like, I have to, my left hand have to pull down my right hand because I don't want to take up time from other people because I'm very curious. And I look around, it's like, I see a lot of curious. These kids are going to get rejected, most of them, usually. So don't be one of those guys.
A trick that I use when I'm trying to build a relationship with someone is when I go to one of their events, if I can get them on social media, I'll DM my questions to them during their presentation so that I immediately stand out as someone rather than running up to them afterwards with like 30 other people to ask questions. Because I've been that person. I get off stage, literally 30 different people ask me questions. And if they don't send me multiple text messages over the next few weeks, I don't remember who they were. They're one of 30. Whereas the people who connected with me on social and asked me questions, like DM'd questions to my team to get onto my radar, like that's what I do as well. I DM my questions.
Thank you for the practical tip. That reminds me, by the way, audience, please, like Addie, I'm sure like you, I get so many bombardments of like request connects and all that. I delete most of them, remove and block some of them as well. Okay, because I don't have time. I don't want to be mired with 100,000, 50,000 connections, and I'm gonna have to spend time managing noise. I want to spend time managing real connections that mutually practical. How's that? Okay, because it's business. LinkedIn is more business, right? And when you try to connect with me, don't just click connect. I don't know who you are. I don't even read it. I just delete usually. But say that, okay, I enjoy your chat with Addie Soozin and spell it out. So when I search for keywords, you appear. Otherwise, you get lost in my tens of thousands of contacts. It's a practical advice. Yeah. Some people still are ignorant, so flippant, they just don't get it. It's kind of like me. It's like, I don't have time for that. It's not that I'm trying to be mean. Like I said, like Jesus had only 3 mentees, not 30. He's got his time for only 12 disciples, not 12,000. Okay, so think about that.
Yeah.
So please, okay.
I had to speak on a panel and they were asking why I pick certain philanthropic endeavors over others. It was
Right.
like some take time to sit down and figure out what's important to me, and then they tell me how this is a win-win.
Right.
Like Wiseman Institute, their CEO, I had him on the show today, and he
Right.
was explaining how they did their research, so they knew that I lost certain family members to cancer, and
Right.
they brought up how the Wiseman Institute is curing those cancers. They
Right.
know that someone very close to me has a MS, so they were talking about their developments with cures for MS. So they knew exactly how to speak right to me so that I would want to move the needle for them, and
Right.
not enough people do that.
Right. Right. Exactly. Got to be specific, right, and
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah.
And it's got to have to kind of think and effective empathy, social intelligence, right? Part of the 3EQ.
Yes. Yes. Well, we have gone way over our time. We were supposed to only do an hour.
This is so much fun.
I know.
But long form is how people get to know people, right? It's like
That's
real
why I do these.
conversational, no edits, right? It's like I love long form podcasts.
That's the difference that I do with 9x90. Whereas a lot of people were like, you should do a 15-minute podcast. It was like everyone
No.
has a 15-minute podcast.
No.
And very few
A
people.
lot of our legacy mass media, the headlines are so deceptive. It's like sound bites. Those things really don't work.
Yeah.
And they do it to get sponsors, right? It's like very provocative, very negative, and all that. No.
Yeah, no, I don't like. I like showing people in their best light, because most people are way
Right.
too humble,
Right.
and they won't introduce their best attributes when they meet someone. So I can share their podcast episode. Like I
Right.
had someone who changed air travel and got airlines to reroute entire, like, to add new routes to their planes to foreign countries to increase tourism. He will never brag about that in person, but I got him to talk about it on the show. So
No,
now
that's a
when I have
good
people,
story.
what?
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good story to tell, right?
Yeah, so now when I have people meeting him, I'm like, he will never brag about all of the things he did, but here's his
Right.
episode where I forced him to.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in New York and Newport.
Oh, absolutely. Come to Newport, maybe Hamptons. You're gonna come to Hamptons?
I think I will. My father's looking at maybe coming with me.
But that's so cool. But your dad and I are gonna meet. So
Oh yeah,
we'll power
you'll
out.
have fun.
Yeah. It's so great. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you back online.
Oh, by the way, how to reach me, right? So
Yes.
all very important. Just go to my website. How's that? Make it very simple. 3EQ.com, THREEEQ.com. And everything's there. My email, everything's there. Just go there. And when you LinkedIn me, you see a profile picture with me holding a glass of red wine, talking to Steve Forbes. And it is so much fun. I joke around with him all the time. I'll keep that private. How's that?
So
And
I will. What we will do is in the show notes, we'll put the links for your LinkedIn for 3EQ. Do you want to put your email as well?
Nah. Because I want people to be more profound. If they want to reach me, they know how to find me.
Okay.
Because my email is in my website and all that. So I want to see how deep they dig, right? Not some flippant situation. So
Make them work for it.
absolutely.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you, Eddie. Talk soon. Bye.